is good, everyone? My name is OJ and welcome to my village of PlayerEssence, where you can come get the latest Nintendo Switch and gaming news. So let's go ahead and get right into this chat video, PE Ninjas. So today I want to talk about why I am so confident that the Nintendo Switch is going to do well beyond the initial launch period with the massive boost of The Legend of Zelda. And it's not only because of games like Mario Kart, Splatoon, ARMS, and other titles that are coming to the Switch, but what I see with the Nintendo Switch that I didn't see with the Wii U is that they are following in the path of the Nintendo 3DS. Now, when the Wii U was first launching, I felt that they were going to follow the route of the 3DS. Since Nintendo was clearly taking a look at dual screen gaming, I felt that they were really going to push boundaries when it came to RPGs and when it came to the type of games that Nintendo 3DS got. That system, if you guys do not know, is freaking amazing. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys already have a Nintendo 3DS, but what made the 3DS so amazing was the variety of games that it got. Now, they didn't get a lot of Western, big budget, third-party type of games, which is fine. The Nintendo 3DS is a very weak system in comparison to what the other companies are doing out there, so I can understand that. But the biggest thing that the Nintendo 3DS got was variety and the genres that people, Nintendo fans, really liked, and I think Nintendo kind of failed to follow through 100% in that round. Now, don't get me wrong, they had a lot of great games on the Wii U. Trust me, I played all of them. I've got a bunch of them right over there, and the Wii U is easily my most played system of this generation simply because of Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. I put well over 1,000 hours into that game. So I know Wii U definitely has some amazing games. However, it did not have the games that just make you keep playing for hours on end in the RPG realm, in the action realm, and it didn't have its own original unique Zelda game. It didn't get that till the very end, and of course that is dual launching with The Legend of Zelda on the Nintendo Switch. So I want to go over a few games and what I see from Nintendo that makes me confident that they're going to follow in what the Nintendo 3DS is doing. And once again, the Nintendo 3DS not only had Nintendo's handheld developers on there, but that had Nintendo's best developers on the system creating games for it. Not offshoot developers, but dudes who are some of Nintendo's best quality were putting out games on the Nintendo 3DS, like for example Fire Emblem. So let's go in and get into this here. I have a stack of games, and trust me, this is not all of them, but I did want to talk about it. But it's just the customization factor and just being able to do so many different things that you could do with the 3DS. I think one of the things Nintendo fans really love, before we get into this stack of games that I have right here, one of the things that Nintendo fans really love is customization of your console. I remember the GameCube and previous consoles before, and N64, not so much the Super Nintendo, but they had many different styles and designs that you can do, and that was one big thing with the 3DS. People love the personalization. People double dipped and triple dipped. I have multiple 3DS systems right down here, and people really like that about that. And I think with the Nintendo Switch, you're seeing some of this customization because you can buy skins for the system to where you can have it on your Joy-Cons and you can also have it on your Switch console. That customization creates a lot of like fandom out of Nintendo fans, and they love that aspect. One of the most criticized things about the Wii U, believe it or not, from Nintendo fans was the fact that how bland it looked. And yes, there were skins, but there just wasn't enough, and it kind of looked weird with the gamepad. It was just really big and bulky. But with the Nintendo Switch, you have the Joy-Cons and you have the console, you have the dock, you have so many cool things that you can dress up and elegantly put, because it's not a dull looking console like the Wii U was. So I love the fact that they are bringing that aspect of what made the Nintendo 3DS so cool as far as getting different customizations and putting on pretty much like faceplates or skins. You can do that with the Nintendo Switch, and there's already a lot available to pre-order at this point. So that's one way that I see them following through with the Nintendo 3DS, outside of it being a portable in addition to a home console. But let's get into the games here, because that's really what's most important, right? So let's talk about this right here. The first game that I want to discuss, and this was actually a new Nintendo 3DS exclusive, and that was Xenoblade Chronicles X 3D. So once again, massive RPG. You see like Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U, which is cool. Obviously, it's a great game. This game was already on the Wii. There were some issues with the distribution of it, but the fact that the 3DS, the new Nintendo 3DS, which actually sold really well when it comes to just that system, and this game actually sold okay for it being so old on there. So you have massive RPGs like this from the very beginning right when they launched that new system with the new Nintendo 3DS XL, Nintendo 3DS. So I think that was really cool to get this type of game. But you're going to see a familiar theme when I bring about all these different games here and how it actually propelled Nintendo, not only in the first half of its life, but in the second half more than anything. And next, we're going to move on to a little bit more of an old school, and I think any Nintendo system is always complete with a 3D Mario game. And the difference with the Wii U is that the 3D Mario game was an evolution of this game right here. So if you were a fan of 3D Mario and you already played this one right here, yes, you can get the Wii U version. Yes, it's obviously awesome and there's multiplayer, but of course there was no online in that one, and you already played this one right here, which had some pretty cool Street Pass features and stuff that you can, kind of compete locally and things like that. So I'm not saying that Super Mario 3D World or Super Mario 3D Land is a complete replacement for the Wii U version, but it is an evolution of this idea, and this came first. This came 2 years previously. Now, moving on to the next game that I want to talk about is Mario Kart 7. It had a lot of cool ideas. Had the underwater, had the hang glider stuff, so there was stuff that was in there, and you can play a fully featured online Mario Kart game right here, 3 years before the Wii U version of it. So once again, we're getting a Mario Kart game right away, and that's what these two games did for the Nintendo 3DS. You've got big franchises in Nintendo's long-running Mario series, and you get that in year one. And that's exactly what we're getting with the Nintendo Switch in year one. We're getting a brand new Mario game, and we're getting a brand new Mario Kart. Oh, support, but still, a Mario Kart game coming. This propelled the Nintendo 3DS back in 2011 to sell better, along with the price drop. But these two games really helped move things along. And once again, what are we seeing with the Nintendo Switch? We're seeing both of these games as far as Mario Kart and 3D Mario in year one. Nintendo definitely paid attention to that, and they understood that these two games really helped in that first year to get things going. So there's a big parallel that nobody is freaking talking about right at this point. Now, moving on to the next thing here, we're going to move on to a couple third-party games, because obviously third-party is important, but the Nintendo 3DS didn't have all of the third-party that Microsoft and Sony get, right? It didn't even have some of the third-party the PS Vita gets. So what type of third-party does the Nintendo Switch need? Well, it's getting some of the third-party stuff that we talked about beforehand, but it really needs stuff like this: Persona Q, Shin Megami Tensei 4, and Monster Hunter. Now, out of all these games, obviously Persona that's PlayStation, but we still could see a Persona on the Nintendo Switch. I do feel there's going to be Persona in some type of way, shape, or form. We just don't know how. And next, Shin Megami Tensei. They've already announced this. So once again, Shin Megami Tensei is a staple on the Nintendo 3DS. We had two really good games, and I think also some remakes of some of the DS games and stuff like that. So what did they do? Nintendo said, all right, we know that the 3DS fans really loved Shin Megami Tensei on there. What are we going to do? We're going to make sure that Atlus gets together and we make a big Shin Megami Tensei game. Not only for the 3DS again, but also for the Nintendo Switch. But yo, we're not just going to make it some cheap budget type of thing. It's going to be using Unreal Engine 4 as well. This game really helped me. When it came to Nintendo 3DS, I really loved playing this game. And then there's another one as well, Shin Megami Tensei 4 Final. So the fact that they're getting Shin Megami Tensei on the Nintendo Switch probably in 2018, once again, following in the footsteps of what made 3DS successful with these hardcore RPGs from Atlus. And once again, this is the big one. We haven't heard anything from Capcom when it comes to Monster Hunter, but the big news just recently came out that Capcom and Nintendo worked like hand in hand, or worked a lot with the system, even telling Nintendo to increase the RAM probably by 1 gigabyte, I'm guessing. So 1 gigabyte increasement so they can get their AAA games on there, their MT framework on there easier. So I would expect Nintendo and Capcom to be working on a Monster Hunter game ASAP. I'm pretty sure we're probably going to see something either at E3 or before then, or maybe later in the year, but there will be a Monster Hunter game on there because Nintendo worked with them so closely on the system, so they will be rewarded with a Monster Hunter game at some point. So I do feel that Nintendo really working with them with the system was to set up stuff like this, like a Monster Hunter game, like a Resident Evil, and other stuff like that, in addition to maybe even new IPs. Who knows what they're going to bring out. Alright guys, and this is probably the biggest one that a lot of haters just don't want to acknowledge because they know good and well there's no way that you can kind of get around this, but it's Pokemon. Pokemon is coming to the Nintendo Switch. These games, Pokemon X, Pokemon X and Y, Pokemon Sun and Moon, they really helped push 3DS. Like, these two games are probably the single biggest pushers of 3DS hardware out there. I know Pokemon Sun was selling to a lot of people who already had the system, but it also helped increase sales as well. But Pokemon X and Y, this one right here, Pokemon X and Y really helped increase sales back in 2013. Got a big boost, but Pokemon Sun and Moon is huge. Both of these games, as far as this goes, this is what the portable systems are all about when it comes to Nintendo. Nintendo knows that if they wanted to really take this system that they're going to do, which is a hybrid, they need to make sure that they have a Pokemon game on there. We've heard about the Pokemon director talk about, yeah, we're going to be working on the Nintendo Switch. We actually had that blurb on GameStop.com that said, yeah, there's going to be a Pokemon game for the first time ever. You're going to be able to play it on home and take it on the go. Then they took that off. I do feel that there's going to be a Pokemon game on the Nintendo Switch based on what the Pokemon Company has said. I just think that they're going to make sure that this game sells as much as possible, Pokemon Sun and Moon that is, on the 3DS, and then they're going to hype up a Nintendo Switch third version at some point. That is my belief on the matter. So yes, this is probably the biggest factor of anything why the Nintendo Switch is definitely going to be a moderately successful, if not very successful device, is Pokemon. Because Pokemon is going to come, and I think Monster Hunter as well, but Pokemon is probably the biggest factor out of anything that I'll talk about at this point here. So once again, that's why I'm extremely confident about this and going about it in a different way than the Wii U. Now, I mentioned Fire Emblem a little bit earlier, and once again, you cannot deny Fire Emblem. This has been a big rebirth of this franchise, and the rebirth came on the Nintendo 3DS that it was able to get this. Now, it was pegged down to the portables because of the bad sales in the first place, so Nintendo didn't really have a lot of confidence that it was going to be able to move systems or even be big, so that's why it was on the portables and they took it off from the consoles. Because remember, there was multiple Fire Emblem games on the GameCube and there was games on the Wii, so we had two games between those two systems, and Nintendo saw the sales and was like, you know what, we're gonna peg this thing down. It almost died, but Fire Emblem is back with vengeance. And what did they do? They're like, yep, Fire Emblem is back. Hey, we've got a console that's not only portable, but it's also in home form as well with the hybrid. We're bringing Fire Emblem, a brand new Fire Emblem, to the Nintendo Switch in 2018. Only 1 year after launch. Pretty freaking good. It did take this one, I think it took a couple of years. Yeah, it took a few years or a couple of years after it launched to get Fire Emblem Awakening. And then, of course, I also have Fire Emblem Fates, both very good games. Plus, there's Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of Valentia, which is the remake of Gaiden. So, really cool stuff there. And Fire Emblem is coming to the Nintendo Switch. So, once again, the confidence is there because this is a big-time franchise for Nintendo at this point. Still not up to the level of a Mario, but still very, very good. So, I can see why Nintendo is very confident about this system because of the franchises that I've already talked about, pretty much already confirmed, in addition to stuff like Fire Emblem. And another one of the things that made the 3DS a huge success for the most part is actually having a fully featured Super Smash Bros. Game for the first time on a portable. And right now the rumors are swirling around that there's going to be a Super Smash Bros. Complete or Ultimate Edition on the Nintendo Switch, and it's going to potentially or maybe have all of the 3DS stages and some of the features and game modes that it had, in addition to potentially adding some new characters in there. So once again, this was a big reason why the 3DS was successful. This was one of the highest selling fighting games, pretty much the highest selling fighting game this generation released on any platform. Even if you only count the Nintendo 3DS by itself, there's no other fighting game that's even came close to Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 3DS. So having this type of game, Smash Bros., on one singular system that's also portable for all the fans who loved Smash Bros., that's going to be key for Nintendo. Or in Bayonetta, I know for sure, but Super Smash Bros. Was an essential game for the Nintendo 3DS. In addition to the Wii U, both of them sold very well and have outsold pretty much any other fighting game on any other system, even individually. This is going to do very well when it comes to Super Smash Bros. On the Nintendo Switch, just because, once again, people love their portable versions of things, and Smash Bros. Is no different. And lastly, we're going to talk about The Legend of Zelda. The big thing about Legend of Zelda is not only just getting ports, because obviously this one right here, this is a port right here. It's Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D. Obviously, some people consider this one of the best games of all time, if not the best game of all time. And Nintendo 3DS got this in a time that it really needed it, back when sales were kind of suffering a little bit in the summer. So it was really cool to go through this, but also unique and original Zelda games in a timely fashion. The Legend of Zelda Link Between Worlds came out in, I think, 2013, the end of that. So that was, once again, another big game, another Zelda game for the 3DS. And you saw, if you look at all these different games, look at the variety that I talked about here, from action to RPG to fighting to just platformer. There's so many different types of games in Nintendo's classic franchises. There's third-party games. I didn't even mention stuff like Bravely Default, Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, Resident Evil Revelations. There were just a number of games on the Nintendo 3DS that really pushed it with all the different genres and everything. If you look at the Nintendo Switch, like I said, I'm not just trying to hype it up out of nothing. We're seeing all of these developers who have made all of these great games on the system. We're seeing them announce support pretty much for the Nintendo Switch. We're seeing them all announce the support. So that's why I think, once again, Nintendo is confident, but I'm also confident because if Nintendo releases this type of lineup, which it's looking to be on the Nintendo Switch, there's definitely going to be good sales and just goodwill with gamers out there, because I think that's the biggest thing, was the droughts with the Wii U, and the 3DS necessarily didn't have those. There were some kind of like mini droughts, but you always got games here and there, and then when they did launch a game, it was huge, like Pokemon Sun or Pokemon X and Y, or even like Shin Megami Tensei or Bravely Default. Even the smaller ones were still amazing and helped push software. And there's a ton of games that I didn't mention, like Puzzle and Dragon Z, and just a bunch of other stuff on the 3DS that I didn't even talk about. There are just so many games, and we've seen a lot of those developers who are making those games, or who made the games for the 3DS on the Nintendo Switch, pledge the support. Gung Ho, Grasshopper Manufacturer, we've seen Silicon Studio, we've seen Square Enix, we've got a lot of different developers, Atlas, Pokemon Company. There are just so many, even some that we didn't think, like Take-Two is talking about support. In addition to dudes like From Software also getting support. Platinum Games, which didn't support the 3DS, supported the Wii U, but didn't support the 3DS. They're coming over there, so a lot of stuff to be announced, guys. Definitely, I think we should be patient. We got a lot of announcements already. We have a lot of the lineup, but there's more to come, in my opinion. Nintendo Directs are still a thing. E3 is still a thing, so we are going to be getting a lot more announcements, because there still are developers, like I mentioned, From Software, Platinum Games, who haven't talked about their games at this point. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts. Alright guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and hit that like button if you did like it. Lets me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to PlayerEssence for the latest news, reviews, discussions, and more. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you ninjas for the next video. Peace.